Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm recording these from the downtown offices in Owensboro today. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. Today, we're going to talk about some finance, some technology, and some just news, just straight up news. Um, some cool things going on in our world over here. Um, and I hope some cool things are happening with you over there. If you want to see some of the links that we drop in the article that I talk about today, and you want to see some more information on those, you got to subscribe to our newsletter that we drop daily on my personal LinkedIn. You can go subscribe to that. You should go subscribe to that. That way, it'll get emailed to you whenever I drop it. I drop it at noon every day, Monday through Thursday. Take Fridays off from a daily newsletter, and it's all the stuff that I find interesting from all the stuff that I'm reading in the mornings. I'm compiling that, putting it in, throwing in some of my own comments and things like that. So yeah, go check that out. It's over on LinkedIn, um, and go subscribe to it. Uh, Hopefully one day I'll have a big subscriber base, and my goal is to sell ads so I make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. So here we go. Let's start with finance. First thing, this is super interesting. uh uh and the way that we see phenomenon in the workplace or just in life, and then someone puts it into a system and says, yeah, this is why this happens. This is super interesting. So, do your employees steal from you? Um, do your employees steal from you? And would you know if they did? When an employee steals from you, it's called occupational fraud, and it can come in a whole host of different ways. Some of those ways are milking the clock, embezzlement, payroll cheating, fake invoices, all of that stuff. Super, super interesting because everyone knows that this happens. Everybody knows that this happens. Researchers have found that there are three key components that play into the mindset of an employee stealing. It's called the fraud triangle. It's motivation, and these are the 3 points of the triangle: motivation, opportunity, and rationalization. Okay, so fraudsters have the opportunity to steal. So breaking this down, so fraudsters have the opportunity to steal. They can be driven by significant and sometimes secret financial pressures. So that would be the motivation, and they can rationalize their actions. Okay, so this is a quote. The fraud triangle gives that really great understanding as a starting point. If you're watching the landscape, you're looking for where that pressure, opportunity, and rationalization converge. That's a quote from Andy McNeil, VP of Education and Association, Certified Fraud Examiners. Interestingly, I've become addicted to watching the Payback Scammer guy on YouTube. Go check him out. It's super cool, super fun. So everyone's got those scam calls from like an Indian call center or something like that, saying, "Hey, you need to pay your bill," and that guy calls them and takes stuff from them because they break into his computer. But he's a hacker too. Super, super interesting. Super cool. Okay, so take away one of those conditions, and the risk of occupational fraud, your employees stealing from you, diminishes significantly, according to the fraud experts. Okay, according to fraud experts, employee financial wellness programs that offer personal counseling, education, and practical guidance can help relieve the financial pressures that employees may face, potentially mitigating one of the key sides of the fraud triangle, according to McNeil. And there's a link there that you can go read more on. Super, super interesting. So, also, if you imagine, people would be stealing from you if they are clocking in, getting paid, but not doing the work, right? That would be stealing. And so you're having to invest in your employees anyway to get them to do the things that you want them to do. So some of those programs might be super, super interesting for you as a company, depending on your employment pool and things like that. Really interesting to kind of begin implementing. Okay, technology, financial venture capital is down. It is down. No surprise. No one has any money. If no one has any money, that means the big dogs don't have any money either, or at least they don't want to give it to you. Financial, but climate change technology companies are receiving impressive funding rounds. So investment is down overall, but climate technology companies, not climate change companies, climate technology companies are still receiving impressive rounds. And here is a couple. It's interesting. Northvolt is a European top battery maker. Raised 2.75 billion, the month's most mega round. There's an interview link here with Northvolt VP about the company's plans to scale battery production. Interesting. Expansive is a carbon trading platform, raised 400 million. Monolith, man, if I was gonna name a company that was gonna do big things, I'd call it Monolith. Is a clean hydrogen producer, raised 300 million. And TAE Technologies, a nuclear fusion startup, raised 250 billion. And then, more interestingly, I think that's interesting. I think it's cool that those companies, it's cool that investors. So I said yesterday that the things that are being cut by companies would be investments in um, uh, uh, becoming cleaner companies, greener companies. So they're slashing those sustainability companies. They're slashing some of their sustainability expenses. But on a high level, investors can see that there's profitability to come from being cleaner. But otherwise, they wouldn't give their money. If they're greedy capitalists, why would they give their money to these projects unless there was some incentive? And maybe there is some government incentive that I don't know. But you can see that the old way of doing things is kind of passing away, and there's new technologies that are coming in that are going to help develop some of these. That's going to help the world and people in general and make prices cheaper. And if prices become cheaper, everyone is going to buy it. And if lots of people buy it, those investors get their money back. So I have high hopes for the sustainability industry. Interestingly, have you ever heard of virtual influencers? Virtual influencers. There was a boom of them during the 2020 lockdown. So these would be, so everyone sees an Instagram influencer right now. So an Instagram influencer is someone with lots of followers, and then companies pay that person to push their products, right? So now you can get a virtual influencer, which would be just a comic book character who has an Instagram page, not a comic book character, but a AI generated person or figure. Well, I guess it could be a comic book character who's created by a company and they throw them on a page. And sometimes you can interact with that person depending on how good the system is. So these are kind of dying. There was a boom of them in 2020, mostly Japanese, kind of Asian people. These were the influencers. There's a link there to how these were dying, but and everyone thinks it's kind of stupid now, but there's no difference between this and a cartoon that pushes an agenda anyway. Because cartoons and art are influences, and I would say they're a greater influence on the community, on people in general. It's laying in propaganda into art is more effective than any Instagram influencer. If you read a story and you take away something from that story, that's going to develop something within you, a propensity one way or another. So there's nothing. So if you create a TV show and Disney's doing this, and actually anyone who's creating stuff is doing this and is pushing an agenda, everyone does this. Is pushing an agenda. That would just be a virtual influencer too. So to write off this idea of virtual influencers, you just can't, because you're going to watch art. Your kids are going to watch TV shows, which is art, and those things influence people. Okay, in news, is this the end of video games? Have you read? Have you read Ready Player One? Super interesting. Where's my article? Here it is. The end of video games. Roblox. Here we go. Roblox became the latest gaming company to report weaker than expected earnings for the second quarter. I don't even know what Roblox is. I think my children do. Not only did the gaming platform not have as many daily active users as analysts predicted, but its users didn't buy as much Roblox in-game currency and the main source of revenue, the company's main source of revenue, Robux. No one bought Robux, apparently, recently. Video game playing is down overall, and tons of children and adults are headed outside to enjoy the world again. Everyone was sick of staying inside. Video games are getting kind of boring anyway. If you play, even the most gamer of gamers, I was talking to Noah, who works at the agency. Noah is a video gamer, well, we have a video game review. I don't play video games. He said video game streamers, after a while, just they start to hate video games because they play them so much. So if you lock kids inside and they play video games for a year and a year and a year, they're eventually going to hate it. And maybe everyone's going back outside. You should go read Ready Player One. Here we go. For one, people are touching grass again, and instead of just Animal Crossing weeds. The world is on a vacation, Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson said during an earnings call last week. And Sony reported players are spending 15% less time on their PlayStations than they were a year ago because they were stuck inside a year ago. Less time equals less sales. Video games are dying. People are spending 13% on video games, 13% less on video games than they were a year ago. Plus, semiconductor shortages and supply chains restricted console sales. World is becoming normal, at least for a short period of time, and everyone should get to this. There's a link in here. Coinbase reported a downturn in trading because everyone's scared of crypto because it blew up for a second, which is cool. And last little tidbit, Domino's is leaving Italy because it sucked. Why would they try to sell cheap pizza to Italians who love pizza? The snobby people. They try to take cheap pizza to a snobby people. Starbucks is actually succeeding in Italy, which is a shocker. That's it. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Check out our newsletter. Go subscribe to it. It's on my LinkedIn. It will drop every day if you subscribe to it, Monday through Thursday, because I take Fridays off. Not from everything, just from this. If you go and subscribe to it, it will be dropped in your email inbox every day when I drop it. So these go out at 10. These little lives, they go out at 10, and the newsletter drops at 12. So look forward to that. And look at everything that we're doing. If you like what we're doing, come be a part of our empire, our agency, our team. Reach out. We produce content all the time for lots of clients. We do sales. We do everything. We do everything. Check us out. Check us out. Good to see you today, guys. If you have any comments, questions, drop them in the comments. I'll respond to them in there. Maybe I'll make a separate video about your comments. Put it on TikTok, or maybe not.